Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Julent D. Finn. The name echoed in his heart, like a key to unlock an ancient chain. Instantly, a strange current quickly passed through his nerve endings. It was the memory of another body, strange and complicated, spinning rapidly in front of his eyes like a revolving lantern. What the hell, I actually traveled through time, and I traveled to the world of One Piece. Finn held his dizzy forehead, blinked, and said helplessly, "But it's a blessing to be able to live again. Since it's here, let's make the best of it." He propped up his body and stood up. His neck turned slightly, and his waist twisted with it. He didn't find that he was short of weight or uncomfortable. Only then did he feel relieved and put his heart at ease. On the beach, he stood facing the wind, looking at the endless blue sea and blue sky, and then glimpsed the wreckage of the shipwreck on the beach, and the surrounding area that didn't seem to be populated. He felt a little confused and worried. Are you asking me to play the role of surviving on a deserted island? If I had known this scene would happen, I would have worshipped Bear Grylls sooner or later. Finn was a little speechless, looking dejected. I don't know how to improve gunpowder, smelt steel, or use rocket launchers. What can I do? As a nearly 30-year-old office worker, he had never encountered such a situation. It was inevitable that he would panic when surviving alone in the wilderness, but fortunately, his tolerance was not bad, or he had developed a strong ability to adapt to the environment in his previous life. After calming down, his eyes gradually became firm. As an adult, he must first accept everything in front of him. Blaming others will not solve any problems. Thinking carefully about how to survive next is the top priority. "Brother Tongzi, are you there?" he called out tentatively. Ding! A crisp sound rang in his mind, like the sound of a string. A light screen unfolded in front of him, displaying his character information. Character, Julent D. Finn, age, 7 years old, qualification, LV1, mediocre, 100, transformation energy, 0. Skills, none, combat power, ordinary child level. Brother Tongzi, it's really you. As if he had heard the most wonderful voice in his life, Finn was ecstatic, and then bowed to the screen. It seems that God is also kind to me. Thank Tomato and other gods for their favor. Finn stared at the attribute panel, full of expectations. After all, whether it was a dragon or a worm next, it all depended on this. He didn't want to rely on his own talent and hard work to fight to the death. That was not what he, a time traveler, should do. System upgrade is the right way to start a life of time travel. Just leave those opportunities to fight to the death to the natives. He was fully aware of this. Brother Tongzi, can you tell me about this function of yours? Brother Tongzi, can you load the voice module? Brother Tongzi, you are still here, right? After trying many times, Finn was very helpless. He found that this Brother Tongzi did not have the function of communication, but fortunately he quickly accepted this reality and began to observe the data panel carefully. Finn found that the panel was not without introduction, but consciousness transmission. Just staring at the text, you can naturally understand. Soon, he knew the function of the system. In the process of human biological kinetic energy consumption, the metamorphosis energy is automatically accumulated. The host can use the accumulated metamorphosis energy to break through its current qualifications. Finn knew very well what this meant. That is, as long as the more metamorphosis energy is accumulated, the stronger the qualifications will be, and the process of improving strength will become simpler. For Finn, knowing this information is obviously enough. He knows very well that this will become his ultimate trump card to become stronger and his strongest support for survival in this world. This is the path to develop in the late stage, so you must hold on in the early stage. He laughed, dog. But I like it, develop first and then go out, no problem, ha ha ha. Suddenly, he was shocked. The reality of surviving to the late stage made him sober up immediately, and he realized that he needed to salvage the supplies quickly. After being busy for most of the day, he finally salvaged all the debris on the edge of the island and sorted them out. It turned out that there was not much food, only a pack of meat patties could be eaten, which was enough for a week at most. There were 3 knives and 2 guns as weapons, which were probably guarded by merchant ships. In addition, he also found a lot of clothes, and found small items such as flint and ropes in the clothes. Obviously, this was the last preparation made by the travelers to prevent accidents. Surviving for a short time should not be a problem now. The most important thing is to find a shelter. God knows what is in the forest on this island, and no matter how dangerous it is, safety is the most important thing. He analyzed seriously, from the current intelligence analysis, he needs to develop slowly on this island for a period of time, so he needs to carefully plan his future life, because he didn't dare to go deep into the dense and unknown jungle. Finn set his sights on the bare mountain wall by the sea. After some searching and consideration, he selected the area as a shelter. Under a huge rock, there is an open space, which is about the size of a common bedroom. It is not small, and it can well block the watering of rain, which is also good. After the selection, he began to organize. After some tidying up, he arranged all the supplies, and found a few stones and branches to organize the shelter into a simple hut. It seems that it can provide a certain protection, and it is estimated that it can barely resist the attack of unknown creatures, providing an important guarantee for the next safety. As night fell, on the beach, there were several branches next to the fire in front of the hut, with pieces of meat inserted on the branches, and Finn was alone. At this time, a faint doubt surged in his heart. The island seemed too quiet. There was not even a trace of sea breeze for half a day. If it weren't for the sticky body, the sea salt was so fuzzy that he even doubted whether he was still on an island. However, he clearly remembered the merchant ship that was broken in the storm, and the fear of the passengers who died in the shipwreck when they were swallowed by the wind and waves. After some thought, he had the answer. It was obvious that the island he was on must be in the doldrums, otherwise it would be impossible for there to be no wind for half a day. A strange silence lingered in this place. According to his memory, Finn judged that the climate here should be subtropical, which was good news. At least he didn't have to worry about freezing to death. At this time, in the year 1508 of the Jiankai calendar, it has been 10 years since the pirate king Julent D. Roger opened the Great Pirate Era. This is an era when young people excessively pursue freedom and great treasures, and it is the golden generation of sea adventures. The previous family moved to a prosperous city just to avoid the endless pirates, but unfortunately encountered a shipwreck and everyone lost their lives. Thinking back to this, Finn couldn't help but spit, and said a little discouraged, "The memory of the pirate king has long been forgotten in the dull life, and I only remember the general situation. Luffy, that guy, should still be working hard to develop in the bandit's den. I don't know how similar the real world is to the animation depicted in the previous life. I know some of the plots. Surely I can take the lead and get benefits." He shook his head gently, and then denied this idea, because the nature of the real world is extremely complex, containing intricate cause and effect relationships. The development of the world and the growth of people are woven together by countless intertwined cause and effect clues, presenting a complex evolution process. The plot in the memory will also be different because of his appearance. If you think about the problem from a god's perspective, you may suffer a great loss. Since you already have the Godao system, you should develop steadily and first consider strengthening your own strength. It is too early to consider other things now. Only with enough strength can you better face the future. Thinking about it now is just a fool's dream. After thinking it through, Finn told himself, this is a high-level martial arts world with all kinds of personal power, various devil fruits, various abilities, and high-level life forces such as three-color domineering, which are terrifyingly destructive. There are many people who have been killed by the battles of the strong in this world. If you are not strong enough, you have to stay alive. However, in this world full of hope and passion, if you don't leave a strong mark of your own, wouldn't it be a loss of face for many time travelers? Ahaha. Finn laughed loudly. In the next week, Finn conducted a simple exploration around the place where he lived. Because he found the feces of wild animals, considering his own 5 scum attributes, for safety reasons, to avoid the tragedy of entrepreneurship halfway through, he did not go too deep, but he still found a stream in the jungle not far away, which extended from the distant mountains, and solved the problem of water source at once. After a week of self-reliance, Finn's spirit and energy have been significantly improved, and he seems to have become tougher. He did not use scientific and systematic training methods, but only carried out the necessary labor required for survival. By moving a large number of stones, he surrounded a large fish pond by the sea to catch small fish and shrimps. Using knives, he dug several traps on the edge of the jungle, and every day he repaired, chopped and moved. After a few days of observation and summary, he found that the metamorphosis, the law of the generation of metamorphic energy. The faster the biological kinetic energy is consumed, the faster the metamorphic energy will accumulate. This is like a way of urging exercise, giving rewards in disguise. The harder you exercise, the easier it is to gain strength. At present, he tries his best to exercise to exhaustion, and can gain 3 points of metamorphic energy a day. If he does nothing and lies down, he can only accumulate 0.1 points of metamorphic energy. With a busy life and hard training, he eats many times a day. In just 1 month, he has gathered 100 points of metamorphic energy. Finn immediately chose to undergo aptitude transformation. Character, Julent D. Finn, age, 7 years old, qualification, LV2 best of the ordinary, 1000, metamorphic energy, 0. Skills, none. Combat power, ordinary adult level, qualification transformation is not just an invisible potential improvement. At the same time, Finn feels full of strength and his mind feels clearer in an instant. I didn't expect that a transformation would bring such a big change. It seems that the system is more powerful than I thought. Finn said ecstatically, and then he looked forward to the subsequent transformation. The most intuitive manifestation after the transformation is that Finn now has the power of an ordinary adult in the pirate world. This made him sigh. The effect of the transformation energy is really amazing. This undoubtedly gave him more confidence to survive better in this dangerous world. However, he always knew that this was a world with high military power. The anger of the strong could destroy a country. In a war, the sky and the earth would collapse. He must always be in awe. Finn also firmly believed that with the continuous transformation of his qualifications, he would be able to have such a powerful power in the future, and he would be even stronger. The road to becoming stronger was extremely clear at this moment, and he had no reason not to take a walk. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I finally made it through a year. It's not easy to live alone, but the result is not bad. It can be said that hard work pays off. Looking back on this year, Finn said lightly, and then silently recited the system in his heart. Character, Julent D. Finn, age, 8 years old, qualification, LV3 talented, 10,000, skills, none, transmutation energy, 0. Combat power, elite Navy soldier level, yes. After a year, the 8-year-old has the strength of an elite Marine. With his previous strength, Finn could accumulate 4 points of transmutation energy a day at his limit, but people are not steel machines and cannot always maintain their limit, so, in this year, Finn was able to accumulate 1000 transmutation energy, which is already quite good. This is indeed the result of Finn's unremitting efforts. This year, the most important thing Finn did was to solve the problem of survival. He was busy with construction all year long. The base has taken shape and is no longer the shabby appearance before. There have been huge changes. Finn combined practice with construction and exercised himself through the process of labor. He tirelessly cut down large numbers of trees, made them into wooden piles, and built guardrails. He also moved a large number of stones, piled up houses, compacted the ground, and built simple stoves, beds, tables and other furniture. A farmyard covering an acre was built around the previous shelter. There is a simple stone house in the courtyard, which is the previous shelter. After processing and repair, it now looks more solid and beautiful. Other areas, such as the dining area and the rest area, are simply arranged. In the fitness area, many different stones of different sizes are piled up, ranging from small ones weighing hundreds of pounds to large ones weighing thousands of pounds, and all kinds of shapes are available. Obviously, this area has been built with emphasis. Around the courtyard, there is a nearly 2-meter wide and high river for protecting the courtyard. The surrounding and bottom of the river are compacted with stones of different sizes to make it stronger and prevent it from being soaked in water for a long time and then collapse on both sides. When the creek was completely completed, he also introduced seawater injection. Since the bottom of the creek was full of stones and the water was 2 meters deep, it was also clear and the small fish swimming from the sea could be seen at a glance. He also dug several deep traps near the jungle, inserted a large number of sharpened wooden stakes, covered them with a layer of thatch and a layer of sand, to catch wild animals. And he also made conspicuous marks around to avoid being pitted one day. The previous small pond was also excavated and expanded for the second time. The location connecting to the sea was filled with stones, leaving only a small area to maintain the circulation of seawater, and trees were used as fences. A slightly smaller pond was also built next to it to lure fish. Finn only needs to throw the leftovers of livestock into the pond and open the wooden fence. In just one night, there will be a lot of fish in the pond again, 2 ponds, one for luring fish and one for raising fish, which is Finn's main source of food now. Occasionally, a few traps would yield gains, but they were only good for a quick bite. The unknown created fear. Over the past year, Finn had always been cautious in his activities on the edge of the jungle, not going deep into it. He knew very well that taking risks without sufficient strength was equivalent to being irresponsible with one's life, and was simply courting death. He also knew very well that he only needed to wait until he had enough strength, and the mysterious veil would naturally be unveiled. In general, his life had not been too turbulent this year, and it was relatively stable. He was just a little lonely, but he quickly adapted to it, and he was living comfortably. At least, he didn't have any pressure now, right? It's time to think about how to make myself stronger, Finn thought to himself. With my talent among the best, it only took me 1 year to have the combat power of a Navy soldier. Now that I have transformed into a gifted person, I am really looking forward to it. It seems that most people in the world have mediocre talents, and there are very few who truly have extraordinary talents. It's time to plan well, otherwise it will be a waste of natural resources and it will be unforgivable. What Finn cares most about is the accumulation speed of transformation energy, so after his strength has transformed, he immediately started the experiment. After a few days, he knew that his daily maximum accumulation in the elite soldier state was only 6 points of transformation energy, which was really difficult. At this rate of accumulation, he estimated that it would take about 5 years for his qualifications to break through to the next level under daily extreme training. Of course, strength will grow, and when it becomes stronger, the accumulation speed will also become faster accordingly. The stronger the strength, the greater the consumption. This does not need to be explained. Energy is not created out of nothing. To maintain consumption, it needs to be supplemented from the outside. Of course, Finn is now the strength of the Navy's elite soldiers is already very important. Don't underestimate it. This may be the limit of an ordinary person's lifetime growth. In the world of One Piece, the population is nearly 10 billion. As the ruling force of the world government, the number of Navy must not be too small, otherwise how can it effectively rule the entire world? It is estimated that the number of Navy is nearly 10 million. And the number of elite soldiers is less than 200,000. They are distributed in major bases in the 4 seas and major fortresses in the Grand Line, serving as captains. Of course, this strength is just a transition for Finn, just the beginning. Who told him to open the cheat? He has just started to exercise, and it can even be said that he has not practiced seriously. What he does can only be called labor. Of course, it is a bit too early to talk about strength now. Finn doesn't go out to play, so there is not much meaning. He just needs to stay alive now, which is the most correct direction. After some thinking, Finn made a preliminary practice plan. After getting up in the morning, he would do running training, running 100 laps around the yard in the morning, activating the sleeping body, stimulating the vitality of the whole body, and also exercising his endurance. Such exercise can also further improve metabolic energy, further digest and absorb food, and promote the accumulation of metamorphosis energy. Then it is to prepare food for the day, which must be done in the morning, otherwise it will affect the plan for the day. In the afternoon, Finn did strength training. He knew that when he was weak, strength training was the most effective way to improve overall strength. He would continue to squeeze the strength in the yard, repeating simple stone lifting movements tirelessly, until his arms were exhausted, and then he would squat with weights, also until his legs were exhausted. Simple things, repeated constantly. Finn spent all his time practicing except patrolling traps and preparing food, day after day. Of course, it is very difficult for ordinary people to persist in doing such things for a long time, and it is almost impossible to accomplish. But for Finn, who has the system, the obvious increase in combat power and hard work can bring rewards. Not working hard is disrespectful to life. It only took half a year for Finn's strength to have a big breakthrough. The stones he used for training have changed a lot. The smaller stones before have disappeared. Now, they weigh at least several hundred kilograms. The panel has also changed. Character, Julent D, Finn, age, 8 years old, qualification, LV3 talented, 10,000, skills, none, transformation energy, 1100. Combat power, warrant officer. That's right, the strength has transformed, and it has reached the level of warrant officer. Don't underestimate the strength of this warrant officer. It seems that it is not very good, but in some small bases, the second-in-command level is only the strength of warrant officer. In a navy of tens of millions, the number of officers is very small, almost only close to 10,000. In comics, we often see the figures of vice admirals and generals, but don't mistake that for the norm. You must know that what you see in comics is the highlight of the whole world. Finn knew that the rapid breakthrough in strength was due to the bonus of his talent. After all, in the whole world, ordinary people are all ordinary people, and those with a little talent will stand out from the crowd, not to mention the gifted. As long as they don't die unexpectedly and grow up, they will all be strong. We can also get a glimpse of this from Finn. Even if there is no systematic practice method, it is just a few simple movements, plus unswerving execution. In half a year, his combat power has broken through, which shows the value of talent. Finn estimates that his current qualifications should be at the top of the world. Of course, this progress is not enough for Finn to see, and he will not slack off. He will fully implement the previous plan. He has made a decision that as long as the current training does not encounter a bottleneck, he will continue to practice. The idea is good, provided that there are sufficient resources to allow Finn to consume all the time. Obviously, Finn's dream was shattered. In just 1 year, fishing in a small pond can no longer meet Finn's consumption. The problem of food was also objectively placed in front of Finn. After all, energy is conserved, and the maintenance of combat power requires food supplements. How to solve the food problem next? Should we explore the island in depth? Or should we go deep into the sea to catch? Finn was a little unsure about this. After a period of psychological game, Finn gave up the idea of catching from the sea, because there are sea kings in the ocean, which is very dangerous, especially in the doldrums, where sea kings gather too much. Finn knew that his strength was not enough to deal with sea kings, especially in the water. Humans, they have a natural weakness against sea kings. Exploring the island in depth, Finn believes that with the nearly 1,000-pound strength of his arms, and the several guns in his hands, he should be able to deal with most of the dangers. Of course, facing the unknown, he still needs to be cautious, especially on such a large primitive island. It is unknown what kind of prehistoric beasts will survive. He knows that in the world of One Piece, there are behemoths that are more ferocious than lions and tigers. Therefore, you must be more cautious and careful to sail for a long time. Fortunately, after some exploration, Finn found many herbivores such as bison, wild boars, rabbits, kangaroos, etc. deep in the jungle edge of this island. Occasionally, tigers and cheetahs can be found, but for Finn now, these animals do not pose a danger. Finn can easily use javelin to hunt in the surrounding area, but because there is no means to preserve prey, he does not hunt a lot at one time, but hunts once in a while to meet his own consumption. During this period, a throwing event was added to the training method. In order to catch prey, Finn can only use javelin for long-distance throwing. This requires a high level of strength and accuracy. Therefore, Finn added stone throwing to his training plan. And he also found that stone throwing can exercise the strength of the whole body, not only the strength of the arms, but also the waist strength, leg strength, etc., which can be combined, which is very comprehensive. The daily schedule became weighted running at sunrise, followed by stone throwing training, 10,000 times, then stone lifting and weighted squat training to exercise the strength of large muscles, day after day. The stones in the yard have been replaced several times. Now, the smallest stone weighs several hundred kilograms, and the largest weighs 1,000 kilograms. Time has passed unknowingly, and 3 years have passed in a flash. Chapter 3. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. 3 years later, Finn is already 11 years old, nearly 2 meters tall, with a strong physique. Every muscle seems to have been polished, and the muscle lines between the joints are smooth, the back muscles are high, the abdominal muscles are solid and layered, and the thighs are the most developed due to long-term squats. When he walks, he seems to have a strong explosive power, as if the ground is shaking slightly. His whole body gives people a strong sense of oppression, but his face still has some traces of childishness. The panel at this time. Character: Julent D. Finn. Age: 11 years old. Qualification: LV4 Extraordinary, 100,000. Skills: None. Transformation Energy, 1100. Combat Power, Colonel level. After 3 years of training, Finn's strength has jumped from the warrant officer level to the colonel level. In addition, he has accumulated enough transformation energy to successfully break through his qualifications to the extraordinary level. Today, in the entire world of One Piece, his qualifications can be said to stand out. From the name of the qualification, we can get a glimpse of it: extraordinary and beyond the ordinary. How common is this? Now he can easily lift a boulder weighing several tons and a stone weighing hundreds of kilograms with one arm. He can throw it 1,000 meters away with one hand and hit the target accurately. This is not just brute force, but also clever force. His current weapon is a wooden stake with a thick arm and a sharpened end. It looks very bulky, but under Finn's use, it is as flexible as an arm. The combat power of the colonel level can be said to be a strong man in the entire world of One Piece. The chiefs of various bases in the 4 seas of the Navy are usually at this level. They are definitely frontier officials. In the past 3 years, Finn had to go deep into the island to explore, mainly because the surrounding animals had almost been eaten by him, and the expansion of strength also gave him a certain degree of confidence. When Finn explored deeply, he found that the ecosystem of this undeveloped island remained in its original appearance. As he went deeper, the animals he encountered became larger and larger, and many of them still retained ancient characteristics. Finn looked at it from afar in awe, and could see 10-meter-long prehistoric crocodiles, 1-meter-thick pythons, dozens of meters-tall elephants, and even primitive species such as tall dinosaurs. These creatures are not only huge in size, but also have strong attack power. Even for Finn now, it is extremely difficult to deal with them. Although Finn's combat power has reached the level of colonel, he is still an ordinary human. Without the blessing of devil fruit and domineering, his body cannot withstand too much damage. This is why a legendary figure like Roger, the Pirate King, can be easily executed by 2 bayonets. In the entire sea, only a very small number of strong people are born with characteristics and show extraordinary characteristics, such as Kaido and Big Mom, who have an invulnerable physique. My strength growth has obviously slowed down now. I must have hit a bottleneck. It's time to try hockey training, Finn analyzed carefully. Although I'm not very clear about the training method, the awakening of hockey is imminent at this stage. The source of food has become a new problem. The animals around have almost eaten it all. The essence of armament color is the potential energy of the body. How is this energy generated? Finn quietly analyzed the current problem, and how to properly stimulate this potential energy. Faced with these questions, Finn fell into deep thought. He guessed that the practice of armament color is not just a combination of physical strength and skills, but should be a state of unity of body and mind. His guess is based on the fact that since this ability exists in the body but is not obvious, it needs conditions to trigger, and it must require the intervention of the mind. However, Finn still believes that with his extraordinary qualifications, even if there is no reference to the practice method, through continuous trial and exploration, he will definitely be able to awaken this ability. Otherwise, how can it be extraordinary? In the anime, he has seen the plot of awakening by being beaten. Although he does not understand the principle, he believes that this is not the only means. He planned to cultivate an indestructible faith based on his guess, and see if he could lead out the armament hockey inside his body. Perhaps it was a coincidence that made Finn guess right, and this was the right way to awaken the armament hockey. A year later, as the surrounding trees were knocked down one by one, Finn's fists gradually became more powerful. Finn spent a whole year focusing on boxing practice. At first, he targeted the pad made of rattan, punched repeatedly, and kept thinking about angles and techniques. In less than a month, the pad was shattered by him. He then turned to using a tree as thick as a person, tirelessly continuing to punch repeatedly, repeating the process selflessly. 3 months later, Finn no longer used only the strength of his arms, but began to fully utilize the strength of his waist and even his whole body. If one word is used to describe his state at this time, it is subtle. Finn's fists slowly grew thick calluses in the constant hitting, and gradually developed a solid stratum corneum, making him almost unable to feel the pain of hitting. Although he became stronger, he did not achieve his goal. Trees were still being smashed and knocked down one by one until there were no more sturdy trees for Finn to practice on the periphery of the jungle, and this process lasted for a whole year. Although he did not inspire the armed color domineering, Finn had initially developed an indestructible belief. Any sturdy tree, he instinctively believed that he could smash it with one punch. Finn then turned his target to the reef, starting from the smooth reef on the seashore, and continued to punch. After a few months, there was still no awakening of armament hockey, but the stratum corneum on his fist was obviously thicker, and it was obvious that the reef could hone his fist better. Gradually, his fist hit the smooth reef and he could no longer feel the pain. At this time, Finn was able to smash the reef with one punch. Although he still did not stimulate armament hockey, Finn also doubted whether he was going in the wrong direction. But as he became stronger day by day, Finn did not change direction, but continued to practice boxing. Another year passed, and there was no intact boulder around. At this time, Finn stood in front of the huge rock wall by the sea, punching continuously, and his faith was gradually strengthened. He gradually felt a strange power wrapped around his arm. Then, as the entire rock wall collapsed with a punch, Finn finally realized that the thin layer on his arm was his armament hockey. Although it was not black yet, Finn instinctively knew that this was the primary form of armament hockey. He believed that with continuous training and continuous accumulation, armament hockey would become more powerful. After understanding this, Finn decided to continue to strengthen the practice of armament color. After another 2 years, the rock walls and reefs near the entire coastline were shattered. In the end, Finn's armament color reached the top black quality, and was able to be used flexibly between full body coverage and local hardening. And most importantly, he has mastered the armament color Ryasakura. Finn also understood the changes in the color of armament color. This energy is colorless in the primary stage. When the energy is strong enough, it will turn purple, and finally appear black when attached to the body. When enough energy forms an energy ball, and the refraction of light is mixed with the heat energy of its own life, a physical visual effect is produced. That is, the fans of Ryasakura. For 4 years, Finn has been digging and strengthening armament color hockey. In this process, he seems to have understood the foundation of the power of this world. That is, the body is the foundation and the belief is the soul. Physical strength and skills are the foundation, but to be truly strong, you must have firm beliefs and will. This reminds him of the 4 emperors Shanks betting on Luffy's left arm, and the Hawkeye of the East China Sea recognizing the fledgling Zoro. He knew that in this world, belief is the ultimate factor that determines whether a person is strong or not. In addition, Finn also realized why there are so few people who can master Ryu Sakura. Because Ryu Sakura is not only based on the flow and concentration of armament hockey, but also depends on the amount of armament hockey. Only when a large amount of armament hockey is concentrated, Ryu Sakura will have great destructive power and be able to attack the inside of the target. Therefore, Finn can't rely on Ryu Sakura for a long time now. It can only be used as a trick, a killer move, and a means of finalizing the outcome. Finn also knows that since his armament hockey awakened for a short time and the amount is not much, its power is limited. If you want to make it more powerful, you need more time to accumulate the amount of armament hockey. This is a slow process, and you can't rush it. 4 years of practice have passed in a flash. Now he has a strong power and his overall strength has changed a lot. Character, Julent D, Finn, age, 15. Qualification, LV4 Supernatural, 100000, skill, armament color, transformation energy, 32850. Combat power, Major General. It goes without saying how strong the generals are. There are no more than 100 generals in the entire Navy. They own warships and are responsible for patrolling the sea. They are the key force for the navy to deal with pirates. Finn is no longer afraid of any creatures on the island. As for the uncivilized beasts, he firmly believes that he is the top of the food chain on the island. It seems that it is time I'm going to explore the whole island in full. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming battle, ha ha ha. Finn laughed wildly. Deep in the jungle, the surroundings were in a mess, with fallen trees and cracked rocks scattered everywhere, and the ground was full of huge pits. In the center of the chaos, Finn was half kneeling on the ground, panting rapidly. Damn, this mammoth is not only resistant to beatings, but also very strong. A few sniffs made my arm hurt. It really deserves to be an ancient species. Fortunately, I was not hit by the tusks, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Finn was a little scared. Okay, let's stop today's training. After fighting for a long time, I'm exhausted. Finn then skillfully lifted up the giant elephant and prepared to use it as a food reserve. Finn, who had awakened the armed color, had already stood at the top of the food chain. There was food everywhere on the island, and he finally didn't have to worry about food. Finn also found that the more ferocious the beast, the more energy its meat contained. With the combat power of a major general, Finn can now accumulate nearly 70 points of transformation energy a day. But for the creatures on the island, this is simply bad luck. Looking at the increasing transformation energy, Finn is looking forward to the next transformation. Chapter 4. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. The general level combat power is undoubtedly the strongest among the strong in the Navy. It is only possible to exist in the headquarters and the G-base of the Grand Line. Its powerful force is enough to suppress one side in the Navy, especially in terms of physical skills. It is rare to reach such a high level. If you are lucky enough to get a suitable devil fruit, the future will become limitless. However, Finn is not satisfied with the small achievements in front of him. After experiencing the beauty of life becoming stronger, he is more eager to evolve the essence of life. Finn firmly believes that in a world with extraordinary items such as devil fruits, extraordinary force that does not rely on devil fruits can be born. Although no one can do this now, he firmly believes that it must be the qualifications that determine a person's upper limit. As long as the qualifications are broken through, the upper limit of force may be broken. Although it is just a guess now, he believes that the system is powerful, but the road ahead is full of unknowns and explorations. In the world of One Piece, apart from the devil fruit, the most likely things that can be related to the extraordinary are the three-color domineering and life return, and both of them have a very high upper limit. Needless to say, the three-color domineering, just the foresight of the future and the hearing of the voice of all things are in line with the characteristics of the extraordinary, full of mystery. The same is true for life return, the subtle control of the body, the extension of consciousness, all have the style of immortal novels. Isn't this similar to inner vision and spiritual consciousness? Domineering and life return, Finn wants both, but for a physical master like Finn, if he wants to continue to break through, then life return is definitely the most important topic to be conquered at present, and it is the top priority. The practice of domineering is even more mysterious. Finn, who has been working behind closed doors so far, does not have enough vision and knowledge reserves to allow him to continue to develop three-color domineering. Of course, life return is also quite difficult. Finn only remembers that it was said in the anime that life return allows practitioners to infuse their consciousness into their limbs, torso, and even internal organs, thereby achieving free control of these organs. The manifestations include fast digestion of food by madly taking in food in a short period of time, and arbitrary control of any organ in the body, such as hair, internal organs, etc. In the plot, life return is also used to improve combat effectiveness. After Lucci turned into a leopard, his speed increased dramatically, but his power decreased a lot, and life return helped him solve the defect of this ability. Lucci activated life return in the human beast form, absorbed the original huge body, and turned into a martial body form that could only point guns. This kind of life return not only retained the destructive power of his original human beast form, but also perfectly called the mobility of the pure beast form. Therefore, Finn firmly believes that life return is a mysterious and extremely powerful skill, and its potential limit far exceeds the level developed by existing characters. How to fully master this ability? Finn decided to explore it through the improvement of physical skills and comprehensive coordination and control of the body. In the process of in-depth thinking, he had an idea and conceived a unique and effective training method: swimming, especially weighted swimming. Finn believes that swimming is a sport that requires coordinated operation of various parts of the body. To master the balance of body gravity and buoyancy, it is also necessary to overcome the resistance of water, use the coordination of arms, legs and feet, and maintain rhythmic breathing to ensure the continuous supply of oxygen to the body. Weighted swimming increases the load on the body, so that muscles, breathing and vitality are more comprehensively exercised, making the swimming effect more significant. Finn believes that this is the best way to achieve life coordination. Finn started his own swimming plan, working tirelessly in the sea every day, swimming with weights, diving deep and improving the body's perception and regulation of vitality through resistance and pressure to the sea. He focused on experiencing the flow feeling in the sea water and tried to feel the flow of vitality in the body. Finn enjoyed this process. As the exercise progressed, he felt that he became more and more flexible in the sea. The repulsion of the sea gradually decreased, and the skills became more and more proficient. This quick effect made Finn very happy, especially in the world of One Piece. The sea occupies the vast majority of the area, and the skill of swimming is indispensable to Finn. However, things did not go so smoothly. Don't forget that Finn's location at this time is the doldrums, the nest of sea kings, and the sea is full of a large number of sea kings, including some super large creatures. Every day, Finn kept practicing in the sea, swimming with weights, and looking for ways to improve himself. In less than a month, he was like a fish in water, swimming lightly and freely, as fast as a speedboat. He became more and more adapted to the water environment, but the weight is also increasing. As time goes by, Finn's swimming in the water attracts more and more attention. Sea kings are attracted one after another, forming a dangerous and exciting chase scene. Finn swam around the sea kings, directing their attention. The chase scene in the water kicked off. Finn flexibly avoided the attacks of the sea kings, and his body was changing unconsciously. He began to sense the tiny fluctuations in the sea water, which was not something that ordinary people could perceive. A strange power surged in his body, and he seemed to be able to see the underwater scene and feel the heartbeat and breathing of the sea kings. Finn's weighted swimming continued to upgrade, and the number of sea kings increased accordingly. His perception became more and more acute, and he could predict the attack path of the sea kings. This feeling penetrated into his soul like a mysterious power. In the crisis of the chase, Finn keenly avoided the attacks of the sea kings again and again, and his body seemed to be integrated into the rhythm of the sea, reaching a tacit understanding with this mysterious water. After an elegant turn, Finn successfully shook off the last sea king. When he surfaced, he found that he had unexpectedly awakened his observation haki, a rare ability in the pirate world. Although Finn has not yet mastered the skill of life return, he is very happy about the unexpected awakening of observation haki, and is convinced that the direction of training is not wrong. Finn decided to increase the weight further and continue to swim in the water under the pressure of the Sea King. So far, Finn has carried several tons of boulders in the sea and flexibly avoided the pursuit of the Sea King. Spending more than 10 hours of sea water training every day not only strengthens the strength of the limbs, but also tempers endurance and internal qualities of the body. Finn's sensitivity to water flow is also constantly improving. As time goes by, he breaks his limits again and again in weighted swimming. Finn gradually understands how the power of water blends with the vitality of the body. By adjusting his breathing, posture and swimming method, he feels the potential possibility of life return ability. Surrounded by the sea water, Finn began to carefully observe the movement of life force in the water, trying to synchronize the power of water with his own life force. By adjusting his breathing, posture and swimming style, he gradually realized how the power of water blends with the body's life force. Gradually, this feeling became stronger and stronger, and Finn gradually caught this feeling and began to consciously control it. After half a year of hard work, this unique practice method gave Finn a deeper understanding of life return and also allowed him to find the right direction for practice. As time went on, Finn continued to challenge his limits in weighted swimming. A year later, the use of the color of seeing and hearing and the return of life were very skillful. Finn's physical strength, endurance and speed have all made small breakthroughs. Unknowingly, Finn has become a real strong man. Unknowingly, 2 years have passed, and under continuous high-intensity aerobic exercise, every day is the accumulation of extreme transformation energy, and Finn's qualifications have made another breakthrough. Character: Julent D. Finn. Age: 17. Qualification: LV5. Proud of the past and the present. 10000000. Transformation energy: 5000. Skills: Life return, observation hockey, armament hockey, combat power. Vice Admiral. Fine couldn't believe how strong the description of proud of the past and the present was. The previous extraordinary and unworldly had already made Fine grow rapidly. At the age of 17, the strength of the Vice Admiral level, or physical skills, is already very strong. There are only a few Admiral-level combat forces in this one-piece world. It can be said that Fine's current strength is self-protective as long as he doesn't commit suicide. With the breakthrough of qualifications, Fine found that the current training could not effectively improve his strength and seemed to have encountered a bottleneck. He clearly realized that the key problem lies in vision and knowledge. Unconsciously, it has been 10 years. How many decades can a person have in his life? The current strength should be able to protect himself. It seems that it is time to go to sea, Fine said with emotion. For a long time, Fine had no clear goal in the world of One Piece and had been training continuously, mainly because of the pursuit of a sense of security. Now he has regained the long-lost sense of security, but Finn is confused about what he should do in this world. Finn has no interest in overthrowing the celestial dragons and finding the great secret treasure. He has his own system and can grow to the strongest. Isn't it great? The 800-year rule of the world government is not just talk. It is the result of military suppression. To overthrow them is completely thankless and risky. Moreover, the celestial dragons did not provoke him. Besides, as the descendants of the victors, they should not have some privileges. The natural development trend of the world seems to be like this. Overthrowing the rule of the world government may not necessarily usher in a better era. As long as there is a difference in strength, there will naturally be a difference in status, which is also the basic law of this world. Moreover, Finn also believes that it is reasonable to have a clear distinction between the strong and the weak and the status. Is it necessary to have the same strength and the same status? In that case, will the strong agree? Even if the rule of the celestial dragons is overthrown, won't there be a wave of descendants of the victors? Will they be called earth dragons or sea dragons? Who can guarantee that the young man who slays the dragon will not become an evil dragon? The times are undergoing drastic changes, and the evil generation of the great pirate era is about to usher in, and countless supernovas will rise. This is a very exciting era. Finn can't help but think about how he should integrate into this new era full of strong people as a traverser. Chapter 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sailing on the sea is so boring, Finn sighed in boredom. He had been sailing on the sea for a month and couldn't help but start to doubt whether he could adapt to this monotonous life. During this period, he did not encounter any ships or islands, but it was gratifying that the rafts made of several huge pieces of wood he drove successfully sailed out of the doldrums. However, this sea seemed to be more vast and boundless than he had imagined, which made people feel very boring. Fortunately, Finn was well prepared and had abundant supplies, so he would not face the threat of hunger in a short time. He comforted himself by talking to himself, "Hold on for a while, there will definitely be a fateful encounter." Well, there seems to be something ahead. Finn, who had been keeping his sight, sensed the emotions of the sea creatures thousands of meters around him and found that many sea creatures were avoiding something. This feeling was very strong, and Finn quickly paddled the small raft in that direction. With powerful force and rapid paddling, the small raft was like an arrow from a string, bringing rolling white waves on the sea, like a white dragon surging in the sea. At this time, the soldiers on the lookout on the warship discovered the situation and hurriedly reported it. "Vice Admiral Garp, there is a situation." At this time, the old man who was sleeping and tasting senbei immediately sat up alertly. "Well, what's the situation? Who dares to disturb my sleep?" Vice Admiral Garp asked angrily. At this time, Finn was observing the warship in the distance with excited eyes, as if he had seen his long-lost relatives. After spending many years in loneliness, he was very eager to communicate with others. When there was still 1,000 meters away from the warship, Finn squatted and accumulated strength, and suddenly jumped up. As the small raft disintegrated, he had already taken off and flew towards the warship. In the blink of an eye, he had landed steadily on the deck of the warship. With a loud bang, the warship seemed to have endured unimaginable force, and the deck broke apart. The warship tilted forward violently, like a seesaw, almost turning over. The people on the ship were shaken to the ground, and only a few people on the deck could still remain stable. A cloud of smoke filled the air, but of course there was smoke but no injuries. Ha ha ha, I'm finally saved. Finn's mood at the moment was hard to describe in words, and an uncontrollable ecstasy surged into his heart. Obviously, he had not noticed the dark faces of the people around him. "Hey, you stinky boy, you are so bold that you dare to destroy my warship," Garp said angrily, obviously a little annoyed. At this moment, Finn woke up from his dream and realized the damage caused by his actions just now, which was a little embarrassing. However, the joy in his heart could not be concealed. "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I was really excited for a while." Finn scratched his head and said apologetically. Only then did he notice the people on the splint. The two-dimensional characters in the anime are quite different from the characters in reality, so he really didn't recognize them for a while. "Boy, tell me quickly, what's the matter? You dare to attack the Navy warship, you are so bold. Do you want to be locked up and impelled down?" Garp said angrily. When Finn heard about the place impelled down, he was also shocked. He just noticed that the old man on the splint had a very strong aura, and he couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. He was obviously in the wrong, so it was better not to confront him head-on in this situation. Finn hurriedly joked, "Don't be so stingy, old man. It's just a few wooden boards, I'll help you repair them, ha ha ha." Kapu also found that Finn was no ordinary person. Unconsciously, the old naughty boy was playful and wanted to test Finn's strength. "Ha ha ha, kid, you are really not simple. Then let me test you with my fist of love. If you want to get over this matter, fight with me first," Kapu said eagerly. "Iron fist of love, ha ha ha." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly jumped up and punched Finn's head. Finn's observation hockey keenly sensed the other party's strong aura, and a fighting spirit of not admitting defeat was ignited in his heart. This indestructible belief is exactly what Finn relies on to awaken his armament hockey, which is also his boxing style. No matter how strong the opponent is, he decided to give it a try and test the opponent's strength. "That's what I mean, old man, be careful. Flat attack, ha ha ha." Finn shouted, clenched his fists, stood firmly, turned around, and punched Garp fiercely. Garp didn't expect Finn to be so strong, he just used a little strength to test it. When the two fists collided, Garp immediately realized that something was wrong, but it was too late. Fortunately, Finn restrained his strength in time, but Garp was caught off guard and was directly punched away. He was instantly knocked away 1,000 meters on the sea outside. He looked very embarrassed. I used too much force. Will the old man be okay? Hurry up and rescue him," Finn said with some concern. At this time, everyone on the boat was also shocked. They had never expected such a situation to happen. However, they had absolute confidence in Garp, so they were indifferent. "Boy, you underestimate Vice Admiral Garp too much. This is a Navy hero, Iron Fist Garp," the tall man in a suit said calmly. Garp. Navy hero? Damn, it can't be such a coincidence, ha ha ha, then I'm relieved," Finn said with a smile again. At this time, Garp also swam back to the boat in an instant. He was soaked all over, his face was filled with black air, and he said to everyone, "What did you see just now?" That everyone on the boat hurriedly replied, "No, I didn't pay attention." Obviously full of desire to survive. "Ha ha ha, boy, you have some skills," the old naughty boy said playfully. "I was merciful just now. Come on, let's do it again. Have a taste of my loving fist. Ha ha ha. Obviously, Garp had already discovered Finn. He was so powerful that he secretly used the armament hockey, trying to trick Finn. He was grinning. Finn also found that this old man Garp had secretly used the armament hockey. He was not afraid and directly used the Ryu Sakura technique. Of course, the amount was not too much, only a thin layer. He wanted to trick Garp again. Suddenly, he felt that watching Garp get humiliated was a different kind of fun. He stood firmly, used the Ryu Sakura technique, accumulated power, and threw it out. The two fists collided, and the fist wind met, stirring up waves around, and the crowd around them quickly scattered. However, under the impact of the momentum, the bow of the warship was already in a mess, the deck was broken, the railing was shattered, and half of the bow was almost scrapped. Ha ha ha, kid, you're having fun. You're really a monster. Don't fight anymore. You don't follow martial ethics. You don't give in to me at all. You even secretly used Ryu Sakura, which made my fists break. Garp laughed. Ha ha ha, Vice Admiral Garp, you're too shameless. It's obviously you who secretly used hockey to trick me. I just played along. Finn was also in a playful mood. The two of them relaxed their strength at the same time and jumped lightly onto the intact wooden boards on the ship. At this time, the other people also reacted. They were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped, and they looked at Finn like a monster. These people followed Garp to travel around the world and were knowledgeable, but they had never heard of anyone who could have such a strong strength at such a young age. Looking at the horrible and scrapped bow in front of them, they felt very tired, and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts that Vice Admiral Garp's style of doing things was always confusing. However, they quickly came to their senses and looked at the strange strong man with a vigilant look. His arrival undoubtedly made people suspicious and wondered if he had ulterior motives. Seeing the tense expressions of the crowd, Garp laughed triumphantly again, and the laughter echoed throughout the ship like spring thunder. Ha 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 ha. At the moment of the fist collision, Garp's observation hockey had already sensed the kindness in Finn's heart, which was a stable and calm state of mind. Obviously, Garp's observation hockey has been cultivated to an extremely high level. He has seen too much darkness and felt too many dark hearts, so he chose to pursue a free life in the Navy. Young man, where are you from? What are you going to do? Garp asked. Finn did not hide the truth and told Garp the actual situation. He said, Vice Admiral Garp, I am Julent D. Finn. When I was 8 years old, I was shipwrecked and I was the only one in my family who was stranded on an island in the calm belt. I lived alone for 10 years and felt that I had the strength to go in and out of the calm belt, so I set out with this small raft. After nearly half a month of sailing, I happened to meet you. I want to hitchhike and take a look at the East China Sea. Soga, it turned out to be a fateful encounter. The D clan is always full of magic. Garp laughed, but his observation hockey was activated again, and he felt Finn's sincerity again. Ha ha ha, since we are on the same road, let's go together. I am also in a hurry to teach my grandson a lesson. Recently, his desire to go out to sea as a pirate has become stronger and stronger. Garp said. Well, what a coincidence. Then let's go together. I also want to see the style of Vice Admiral Garp's grandson. Finn laughed. He had this plan in mind. Brother Finn, why don't you help me teach my grandson a lesson later, so that he knows the dangers of the sea and understands the dangers outside? You are of similar age, so it should be a good match. Then let's try it then. 2 Everyone was talking to each other, chatting happily on the ship, completely ignoring the people who were busy repairing the warship. In this way, Finn officially boarded Garp's ship. During the voyage, Garp asked Finn if he planned to join the Navy. However, Finn declined Garp's invitation on the grounds that he wanted to travel around the world first. Garp did not force it. He saw that Finn had his own persistence and would not easily join other organizations. During this journey, Finn often had fierce competition with Garp, eager to break through his own limits from the confrontation with this top powerhouse. Garp also admired Finn's strength and thought he was a worthy opponent. The competition between the two gradually became the main fun of the voyage. During the competition, Finn realized the gap between himself and Garp. This was not a gap in strength or domineering, but because he lacked the combat experience of a battle-hardened warrior like Garp. In many fights, Finn was often hit by Garp when he was caught in a flaw, but his body was not seriously injured, but his face was often bruised. Finn thought that Garp was deliberately retaliating against him, but in fact, Garp was just sparring with Finn in a playful manner. In the contest with Garp, Finn's combat awareness has made a significant breakthrough. He can now fight back and forth with Garp in the confrontation. Of course, Garp did not go all out, but just sparred with Finn with an appreciative and playful attitude. And Finn did not go all out either. He and Garp restrained each other and regarded sparring as a form of entertainment. Although Finn still has a gap in domineering, he is confident in his training methods. He knows that as long as he continues to accumulate and polish, his domineering will catch up one day. At this time, Garp and other crew members were surprised by Finn's strength. They could not believe that this young man could have such strength at such an age. Finn is also confident in his ability. He believes that his path will be full of light. Besides, even if he cannot believe in himself, can he still not believe in Brother Tongzi? What do you think? Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a month, the warship crossed the ocean and arrived at the East China Sea. In this short period of time, with the constant exchange with Garp, Finn gradually integrated all his skills, and his combat awareness and skills improved by leaps and bounds. Hey, Finn boy, what is your dream? Garp asked curiously, looking at Finn who was thinking on the deck. Yes, Garp saw Finn's strength and talent, and hoped to include this young man in his ship. He asked Finn about his dream, but Finn's answer was unexpected. Dream? I don't know. Live well, and then live your own life. Finn's answer was calm and true, as if flowing in his blood was a kind of indifferent and firm concept. Such an answer made Garp laugh, thinking that Finn's strong strength and inner peace formed an incomprehensible contrast. Ha ha ha, it's really surprising, such a powerful little brother, his heart is so calm, this is really incomprehensible. Garp admired from the bottom of his heart. To be honest, you don't look like a young man at all. You don't have the passion and impulse of youth. But it's not a bad idea to live well. After all, the times are running wild, and the sea is turbulent. No one can stay out of it. Garp said to Finn seriously, and at the same time, he missed his grandson Luffy. He couldn't help but blame Shanks, thinking that this guy was really a headache. Finn didn't confess his true thoughts to Garp. His wish was simple and practical, to live freely, and to live without anyone threatening his life. With the transformation system, he firmly believed that in this high-level martial arts world, he would eventually be able to climb to the peak of martial arts, surpass the ancients, surpass anyone, stand on the top of the peak, and overlook the whole world. Gradually, Garp's warships had arrived at Windmill Village, and Windmill Village had already discovered the arrival of Garp's warships, and spontaneously came to the port to welcome Garp's arrival. The 4 words naval hero are not unimportant, suppressing the sea for an era. It is precisely because of Garp's existence that the East China Sea can have a long-term relative peace, so every time Garp returns to Windmill Village, he does not hide it. The purpose is to deter those who may have ill intentions, and now for Garp, he is very happy to see his grandson again. He has been running around all year round, and there are very few opportunities to return to his hometown. Dayton, I'm here again. Garp shouted loudly. Dayton came out of the house with a cigarette in his mouth, and said casually, Garp, you bastard, you still know to come back. Garp smiled, and seemed to have a simple relationship with Dayton. After all, he could raise Luffy for more than 10 years, and the friendship between the two must be extraordinary. Where is Luffy? Garp asked. That kid, how do I know? He disappears from time to time, and keeps clamoring to go to sea. He must be preparing something in the mountains. Go find it yourself. Dayton shrugged. It's all that bastard Shanks' fault. He chose to be a pirate when he could be a marine. It makes me angry every time I think about it. Next time we meet, I'll have to treat him well. Garp said angrily. Humph, I'm going to teach him a lesson this time. I found a super fighter this time so that he can know the dangers of the world. Brother Finn, you have to treat my grandson well. Garp looked at Finn and said. Finn smiled in his heart and understood Garp's plan. He knew that Garp hoped that through Luffy's competition with him, Garp would let his grandson realize the dangers of the sea and the gap in strength between him and the strong, so as to dispel his idea of going out to sea as a pirate. However, Garp never thought that his grandson was destined to stir up trouble on the sea, so Finn replied, "No problem, Vice Admiral Garp, I'm best at beating people, haha." Finn, watch out, rubber machine gun. Rubber rocket launcher. Rubber tomahawk. Rubber stamp machine gun. Luffy was puzzled by Finn's strength and fighting style. He tried hard to perform a set of moves, but found that Finn easily dodged and occasionally took all the attacks without any damage. Luffy couldn't help but ask curiously, Finn, how come you are so strong? Why can you take all my moves without any damage? Finn laughed and replied, ha ha ha, Luffy, you are still far from defeating me. You need stronger power and faster speed. Of course, speed is also power. He looked at Luffy's somewhat confused expression and couldn't help but ponder in his heart. Fighting, summarizing, and thinking with Luffy every day, which is a pleasure for him, of course, sparring is also to establish a relationship with Luffy faster. This unique way of friendship is very common in the pirate world, and many friendships start with fighting. Finn also has other plans. He has long realized that his fighting style is too ordinary and lacks explosive power and lethal means. Therefore, he decided to use the duel with Luffy to observe and study the ability of the rubber fruit on Luffy to see if he can get inspiration from it and develop a trick suitable for himself. As for why it is Luffy, because Finn believes that no one in the world of One Piece has a richer fighting form than this guy, and can widely adapt to various fighting styles. In particular, he has a rubber fruit whose real name is Nika, which can be named after God, and Finn is very interested in it. Of course, Finn is also curious about Luffy, a unique guy. He admires Luffy's innocent heart. In this marine environment full of deception and calculation, Luffy can maintain extraordinary appeal. He admires Luffy's optimistic attitude, big heart and character of being able to fight for justice. As time went by, Garp left Windmill Village due to his busy official duties, and Finn decided to stay with Luffy for a year to observe his growth, and also hope to develop his own unique skills through training. This period of time is destined to become a special page in the lives of both of them. Luffy and Finn's duel has become a daily routine, and each one is an unforgettable experience. In the fierce confrontation, Luffy gradually felt the strength of Finn. Finn's strength lies not only in strength, but also in his understanding of combat and the use of skills. Luffy, you are too impulsive. Strength is not only reflected in muscles, but also in tactics and strategies. Finn instructed after a duel. But I like to solve problems with muscles. Luffy responded stubbornly, but he thought about Finn's words in his heart. Luffy finally couldn't help asking the question that had been puzzling him for a long time. Finn, why can your fist hurt so much like Grandpa's? Finn smiled proudly and answered, haha, this is the sign of a strong man, Hockey. Hockey, the sign of a strong man, come on, teach me. Luffy was excited and eager to try. With stars in his eyes, Finn showed Luffy the functions of armament hockey and observation hockey, which made Luffy very excited. He immediately asked Finn to help him train hockey, and Finn was happy to agree. After all, this was also an opportunity for him to summarize and deepen his understanding of hockey. Finn guided Luffy to learn more about hockey during the training. As expected, Luffy quickly mastered the use of hockey, which made Finn sigh that he was worthy of being the son of the times, and his talent was strong. Of course, Finn's guidance was also indispensable. However, Finn did not interfere too much with Luffy's use of the fruit ability, because he himself was not a fruit ability user and was not clear about the source and limitations of this power. But he gave Luffy some guidance and inspiration on the use of the second gear. Through careful observation and in-depth research on Luffy's second gear, Finn came up with the direction of improving his own strength. He found that the core of the second gear lies in the rapid flow of blood, which promotes metabolism and energy conversion. For ordinary people, this move may cause blood vessels to rupture, but Luffy's blood vessels are elastic because of the characteristics of Rubber Man, which solves this problem. Finn was inspired and decided to create a similar move by combining life return, domineering and physical skills. He controls various parts of the body, including the flow of blood, through life return. Then wrap the blood vessels with armed color to increase their strength. Finn made a lot of attempts in practice and finally created a move that comprehensively improves combat power, named Shenwushin, first styled Ryusen. This move combines life return, domineering and physical skills to comprehensively strengthen and improve the user's combat power. However, this move also has its own shortcomings, mainly reflected in the excessive consumption of physical energy. For Finn's current strength and physical fitness, this is not a problem. Instead, it can promote faster metabolism and accelerate the accumulation of transformation energy. In order to make the Shinwu body, first styled Ryusen, more perfect, Finn drew inspiration from the flame cloud after the awakening of the animal fruit, and tried to use the return of life to control the high-temperature gas produced when the blood flows rapidly. Through the entanglement of the flow cherry, a dark red flame cloud was finally formed. This kind of flame cloud not only looks handsome, but also can continuously exercise the control ability of the armed color domineering. Because it is not a simple matter to maintain the continuity of the flame cloud, it is necessary to combine the return of life to cleverly control one's own chi and continuously release the armed color to entangle with it. The maintenance of armed color originally requires a lot of energy consumption. The process of controlling the rapid flow of blood by returning life is also a process of doubling energy consumption. To maintain this state for a long time, it is necessary to have a strong physical fitness. Of course, for Finn's current physique, it is no burden. Finn decided to maintain this state all the time. On the one hand, he exercised his body's control ability. On the other hand, Finn found that if he maintained this process for a long time, his body would adapt imperceptibly and become stronger. It has a good bodybuilding effect. Finn is looking forward to the change from quantitative to qualitative. At the same time, Finn is looking forward to the development of moves. He knows that in the cruel and competitive environment of the pirate world, continuous innovation and breakthrough are the key to improving strength. He is determined to continue to explore the way forward, continue his transformation, and keep moving towards a higher peak. Perhaps it is because of such a firm belief that in the future, a name called Wuxing will leave a rich and colorful chapter in this vast ocean. This year has passed leisurely. Finn gradually integrated into this world and no longer felt lonely. The creation of the divine body, first styled Ryusen, brought a significant improvement in his strength, and the Ryusen state he has maintained has also made him a significant breakthrough in strength. Character: Julent D. Finn, age, 18 years old, qualification, LV5, proud of the past and the present, 1000000, transformation energy, 36500. Skills, life return, observation haki, armament haki, divine body, combat power, quasi-admiral level. Chapter 7. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. Finn and Luffy spent a fulfilling year in Windmill Village. During this year, they both had their own breakthroughs, but Finn planned to continue pursuing his own path and set off again. Luffy was also eager to go to sea in advance because his strength had increased significantly compared to the original timeline. However, Finn did not stop it because it would cause the timeline to be messed up and he would lose his foresight. He always believed that the situation was changing rapidly, and his appearance had already affected the current situation. He was not willing to be too preconceived and take the original plot as the standard, because he knew that compared to the protagonists in those anime novels, each of them seemed to have the eyes of God, making major events perform like a script, as if everything was under control. He did not have such ability. In this new world full of unknowns and variables, he would rather explore with an open mind and not limit the past stories to the future in front of him. Do you say that you have a system? Do you need that foresight, and do you want to take the little profits that belong to others without any limit? Another thing is that he doesn't think the real world is exactly the same as the anime he watched before. You know, the cause and effect evolution of a world cannot be described by a few pages of comics. Oda is a comic artist. What does he know about cause and effect evolution? When facing separation, Finn was the first to say, "Luffy, I'm leaving today, I'm going to go my own way." "Well, I wish you a safe journey," Luffy said, without any retention. For him, it is a proud thing for a man to go to sea to pursue his dreams, just like Ace. "But I haven't decided when to go to sea yet. Before you came, I was planning to set off after I turned 17, but now I'm a little confused, hee. Luffy said proudly. Finn certainly understood what he meant. Obviously, during this year, Luffy felt a little proud of his growth in strength, and then considered whether to set sail in advance. "Luffy, you should have the courage to risk your life for your dreams. When you think it's right, then set sail, ha ha ha," Finn said, and at the same time encouraged himself. The sky was clear, the breeze was blowing, and on the coast, life is bound to be separated. Finn, who was more than 4 meters tall, and Luffy, who was less than 2 meters tall, stood side by side facing the sea. "Luffy, next time we meet, I look forward to your strength surprising me. Don't let me beat you easily," Finn joked. "No, I'm the man who wants to be the Pirate King. Finn, I will defeat you next time we meet," Luffy retorted without hesitation. Finally heard the classic line in the anime, "I'm the man who wants to be the Pirate King." Finn also became playful. "Ha ha ha, Luffy, if you want to defeat me, you have to practice for more than 10 years, but since you are my little brother, I will be merciful and agree to let you use my name on the sea." Finn couldn't help laughing. "No, I want to find my companions, form my own pirate group, and defeat you and recruit you, Finn, you just wait for me," Luffy said unconvinced. "Ha ha ha, then let me wait and see, don't make me wait too long," Finn said with a slight smile. Without waiting for Luffy's response, Finn instantly used the instant step and appeared on the sea, standing upright on the sea. Then, in Luffy's surprised eyes, he walked quickly into the depths of the sea at a speed of 10 feet per step, and disappeared on the sea level in a short while. That's right, Finn has mastered the skills of walking on the sea. In fact, many strong people in this world can walk on the sea, just like Brook in the original anime. A skeleton can run on the sea. During this year, Finn, through the practice of the Shenwu body, allowed the chi generated by the body to be combined with the armed color to entangle, not only forming a flame cloud, but also quickly forming a support under his feet. Due to the contact with the sea surface, the speed of assimilation of chi is very fast. This support surface has been disappearing and building in a cycle, which consumes a lot of physical strength. For non-physical strong people, it is difficult to bear such physical consumption, but for Finn now, it is not a problem at all. The purpose of Finn's voyage this time is to visit famous people, ask the East China Sea, and with the attitude of a seeker, gather the ideas of hundreds of schools, and build an invincible foundation. He will take the mentality of an apprentice, step by step, and quietly walk out his own way. However, Finn obviously underestimated the difficulty of moving forward in the sea. After traveling in the sea for a week, he finally realized what it means to be a drop in the ocean. Finally, I know that the sea chart is just one of the things in the sea. Conditions, in order to move forward correctly in the sea, requires a wealth of meteorological and geographical knowledge. These are completely unknown to Finn. The sea is vast and boundless, and it is difficult to accurately locate the direction without reference, which led to Finn's embarrassing situation on the sea at this time and lost his direction. This cannot be entirely blamed on Finn. His experience basically comes from animation, and the scenes of rapid switching of locations give people a feeling that the world is very small. Now I find that this scene switching is completely across the distance of several countries in reality, which is far away. Fortunately, the navigation technology in this world is very advanced, and maritime trade is even more prosperous. From time to time, you can see ships traveling on the sea. Finn decided to give up the unrealistic idea of reaching his destination by himself, and decided to wait in place and prepare to take a ride on a favorable boat. "Brother Finn, why can you walk on the sea?" Yes, why do I sink on the sea?" After a day of waiting, Finn finally met a passing cruise ship as he wished, and after friendly communication, he successfully took a free boat. However, Finn's unique sea walk made the children on the cruise ship have stars in their eyes, very curious, and dropped their jaws. At this time, Finn was surrounded by a group of children, chattering, and Finn was also overwhelmed. Finn said perfunctorily, "This is very simple, you can learn it when you grow up, ahaha." "Liar, you are lying, then why can't the adults on the ship do it?" Obviously, after feeling that Finn is easy to get along with, the curiosity of these children was opened, and they surrounded Finn and asked questions, one by one. Curious babies, however, at this time, the captain of the escort on the ship was worried that these children would affect Finn and there would be accidents, so he took the initiative to come to help Finn. For ships that can provide sea travel services, armed forces are indispensable, and the captain of the escort is also a well-informed existence. Obviously, he has never seen anyone who can walk freely on the sea, but it does not prevent him from knowing that it is against common sense. Obviously, only extremely powerful beings can do it. The captain, who had the same idea, had already reported Finn's situation to the boss far away at the company headquarters. He obviously had no idea of how powerful Finn was. He only knew that he was powerful, but he didn't know how powerful he really was. But that was enough. To be on the safe side, he still reported it. The bosses were also curious about Finn's ability to walk freely on the sea, shirtless, with heat around his body, and a dark ribbon on his body. After carefully checking Finn's photo, they found that he was a completely unfamiliar face and didn't look like a known strong man on the sea. "This ribbon seems a little familiar. I remember it, it's a bit like the flame cloud produced by the awakening of the animal-type devil fruit." Finally, an older executive said. "An awakened ability user who can walk calmly on the sea, then this person is definitely the strongest among the strong. Don't offend him. You must treat him well." Another company executive said in fear, a little worried, "It's best not to cause trouble for a strong man of this level." Therefore, Finn was mistaken for a strong man with the power of a devil fruit, and was ordered by the executives of the cruise company to treat him well, and the captain of the guard, Harvey, obviously received the notice. He has been guarding the safety of the ship for many years, and he has a high military power. He obviously knows the rules of the sea. The strong need to be respected and revered. For Finn, who finally got rid of the torture of 100,000 whys, he smiled kindly at Harvey and started a conversation. As the chief guard, Harvey is very familiar with the East China Sea. He also knows Finn's destination, which is very close to the supply station in the middle of their trip, and it only takes a week to sail. After Finn knew it, he was also very happy. A week is no problem at all. Anyway, he is also enjoying the treatment of a VIP on the ship, just like traveling, but after this time, after being fully prepared and almost getting lost on the sea, Finn felt very deeply. He really realized that the real world and sailing on the sea are far from as simple as he imagined before. To conquer the sea, it is obviously not something he can do alone. Being in the sea, the feeling of the vastness of the world is completely different from the perspective of watching on TV. The greatness of nature is really difficult to describe and convey accurately in words. Only by experiencing it in person can you truly understand it. Finn couldn't help but start thinking, for an individual without foundation, background power, or even much wealth, will it really be smooth sailing in the future? Possessing power may win awe and respect, but it does not mean that you can easily get all. And the behavior of taking advantage of others has always been contrary to the good education he received. He respects order and supports peace. He knows that if power is not controlled, it is a chivalrous man breaking the law with force. If the strong can plunder at will by force, then who has the motivation to create wealth? Wouldn't it become a barbaric society? Moreover, this world is not anarchic, but is ruled by the world government. 800 years of rule rely on force. Thinking of this, Finn was annoyed. Alas, it seems that we can only take it step by step. Finn sighed helplessly. Forget it, the boat will naturally go straight when it reaches the bridgehead, and there will be a way when the car reaches the mountain. A living person can still be suffocated to death by urine. The plan remains unchanged. and the strength will be improved first. In fact, Finn has calculated what to do in the future. Finn has also thought about being a pirate hunter, but he knows that the cause and effect of human life is too big, not just a simple number, and he is unwilling to easily get involved in this cause and effect. Choosing such a side road is also likely to put oneself in a situation of confrontation with the pirate forces, which is not worth the loss. If it brings trouble to one's friends, it will inevitably make oneself feel guilty and affect the Tao heart. Therefore, this idea was rejected in time. As for becoming a pirate, Finn dare not even think about it now. Without background and connections, if he is focused on, wouldn't it be the end? He is not yet able to fight against the world government. Now that I think about it, why are those grassroots strongmen willing to become pirates? It is probably too difficult to stand out in an orderly society. But it is also said that heroes emerge from all directions in troubled times. Deeply touched, Finn felt powerless in the same embarrassing situation, and said self-deprecatingly, "If you don't become a pirate, you can only work hard to earn money. How many ounces of wine can you buy a day? What will you do if you are destined to be a pirate?" Chapter 8. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. On the coastline of Seymour Village, people are busy doing various tasks. Some are cleaning boats, some are sorting out the caught fish, and some are bargaining with the merchants who buy them. Suddenly, a voice resounded throughout the coast. "Everyone, look, what is that on the sea? Is it a person walking?" The people working on the dock discovered the amazing sight of Finn walking on the sea and shouted in surprise. "What is it? Why are you making a fuss?" A worker asked. "Well, it's really a person, but how can a person walk on the sea?" Another worker asked curiously. Quick, tell Master Koshiro that this person must be a strong man. I wonder if he is a pirate." An old fisherman hurriedly said, Shimatsuki Koshiro was able to open such a large-scale dojo, and he was obviously not an incompetent person. Through the graduation of one class after another, his reputation in the local area has been rising, and now he has become the backbone of the local people. Yes, this is Finn. After a week of sailing, the cruise ship successfully arrived at the nearby island. After asking for the specific route, Finn refused the captain's kindness to send him ashore and chose to walk directly from the sea. It was this behavior beyond the cognition of ordinary people that caused a huge shock on this busy coastline. Master Koshiro, there is a person walking on the sea, walking towards us." A young crew member shouted breathlessly. Koshiro, who was demonstrating the sword skills of cutting everything for apprentices in the dojo, heard the news that someone was walking towards this side on the sea. His first reaction was that the person who came here might be a super strong person. After all, there are probably very few people who can walk on the sea. As the guardian of the village, he immediately decided to go and see him, and at the same time hoped that the person who came was not here to cause trouble. When Finn stepped onto the dock, he saw a large group of people surrounding him, but the scene was very quiet. Walking in front was a slender man wearing traditional samurai clothes, glasses, and a sword hanging on his waist. His eyes were deep and full of spirit, revealing a calm and wise atmosphere. Finn knew in his heart that this should be Koshiro, who was obviously a strong man. Koshiro was also looking at Finn. He knew at a glance that the flame cloud behind Finn was not a devil fruit ability, but a pure physical skill. He also knew that it was very difficult to make such a change in the body. Before this, he had never seen anyone with such an ability, so he immediately judged that this person was a super strong man. After the two sides looked at each other briefly for a while, Finn thought that he was not here to mess up the scene, but to seek the truth and ask friends, so he took the initiative to say, "Is this Seymour Shiki village?" "Well, I don't know what this friend is doing." Koshiro responded immediately. "I am Julent D, Finn. I heard that there is a Isen dojo here. I heard that the master Shimatsuki Koshiro is an excellent swordsman. I came here to make friends with him. May I know if you are a senior?" Finn said politely. After all, he was here to communicate and ask for advice. He had to be a man of many talents and be well versed in social etiquette. "I don't dare to be called a senior. I am Shimatsuki Koshiro." The low-key Koshiro replied. He knew that the person in front of him must be stronger than himself, so he didn't dare to be arrogant. Oh, that's a coincidence. I wonder if you can take me to the dojo for a tour and ask you some questions. Finn said straightforwardly. Koshiro knew that Finn just wanted to communicate and had no ill intentions, so he was relieved. Out of respect for the strong, he decided to entertain Finn in person. When they arrived at the dojo, a group of students saw Finn next to Koshiro and were attracted by Finn's image. After all, the topless, 4-meter-tall little giant was covered in muscle, and the rookies felt the pressure of the surging power. The dark red flame cloud behind Finn made him look more sacred, and he was also the focus of discussion. He was really unique and could not help but attract attention. Obviously, the strong are so dazzling wherever they go. Koshiro briefly introduced and took Finn to the backyard of the gym. Under the maple tree, the water was boiling on the stone table, and Finn and Koshiro sat opposite each other. Koshiro refilled tea for both parties. As a blind swordsman, Finn did not come here to learn swordsmanship, but to understand the principles of swordsmanship and see if he could apply it to other situations. He also knew that Koshiro would not refuse his request as long as he was not stupid. Whether to make friends with a super strong man and gain the friendship of the strong, or to refuse the visitor and offend the strong, as long as he was not a fool, he would understand how to do it. Since Finn did not have systematic knowledge of swordsmanship, he asked how Koshiro taught his apprentices. He did not ask why he could do this or that right away, because Koshiro probably did not know. Finn knew that there were no martial arts secrets in this era. Many things were passed down by word of mouth, and many were based on experience formed after many generations of improvement and perfection. They only knew that it was right to practice like this, and the definition of strong people in each level was also to reach a specific level. For example, those who could cut iron were sword masters, and those who could use flying slashes were great sword masters. Koshiro also talked about the learning process of students, which usually involves accumulating strength first and then training sword moves, and Koshiro also demonstrated basic swordsmanship moves for Finn, including sword thrust, thrusting forward, with the force reaching the tip of the sword, sword splitting, splitting from top to bottom, with the force reaching the sword body, sword lifting, from bottom to top is called lifting, and the force reaches the front of the sword, sword hanging. The tip of the sword moves from front to top, back or down, back is called hanging, and the force reaches the front of the sword, sword pointing. Lifting the wrist to make the tip of the sword move forward and downward is called pointing, and the force reaches the tip of the sword, sword breaking. Sinking the wrist to make the tip of the sword move forward and upward is called breaking, and the force reaches the front end and tip of the sword, sword cutting. The sword moves diagonally upward or diagonally downward is called cutting, and the force reaches the front of the sword, and told Finn that only when these movements are practiced proficiently and can be integrated, will real combat exercises be carried out. If you can persevere in training, most people have the talent to become swordsmen. Of course, the strength varies from person to person. Of course, for those with outstanding talents, he will accept them as his personal disciples, and will teach them according to their aptitude and focus on training. However, there are very few people who can meet Koshiro's standards, and there are only 3 so far. Finn also asked about the key stages in the growth of swordsmen, such as how to achieve the ability to cut iron, how to perform the flying slash, and the term breathing of all things, which is more general. Not surprisingly, Koshiro also found it difficult to explain all this, because this was a skill passed down from generation to generation, not invented by him. He only knew that doing so would have such an effect, and he could only demonstrate it through demonstration, and then showed Finn the iron cutting and flying slashing. At this time, Finn's mind kept replaying the movements demonstrated by Koshiro, and soon Finn fell into deep thought. Not long after, Finn gradually returned to normal. For these 2 skills, he thought of the 2 realms commonly seen in fantasy novels, lifting heavy as if it were light and lifting light as if it were heavy. After repeated replays and careful feelings in his mind, he firmly believed that the key to iron cutting and flying slashing lies in the realm of lifting heavy as if it were light and lifting light as if it were heavy in terms of strength. The skill of iron cutting requires lifting heavy as if it were light, concentrating the whole body's strength on one point, and focusing on the point of breaking the enemy. The principle of flying slash is to lift light as if it were heavy, slash the air with powerful force, compress the air, and transmit power. this may sound simple, but it is extremely difficult to master the mystery, and it can only be understood by heart, which is difficult to express in words. No wonder in the original work, a genius like Zorro only realized the iron cutting when he was on the verge of life and death. This exchange gave Finn a great inspiration. He always knew that he had shortcomings in long-range strikes, but he never knew what method to take. After combining the principles of slashing, Finn had some vague ideas and tried to develop a new move. Of course, Koshiro also asked Finn about his doubts, especially about the flame cloud on Finn. Finn did not hide anything and described in detail the process, principle and function of the flow of immortals he developed. After listening, Koshiro was completely stunned. These simple-sounding terms, such as controlling blood flow, regulating the influx of qi, and the domineering aura of exposing and entanglement, each of them is a high-level field that requires super-physical masters to get involved in. Finn stayed in Koshiro's dojo for a whole week. During this period, Finn constantly practiced the two techniques of cutting iron and flying slash. Obviously, with Finn's strong physical fitness and outstanding qualifications, he quickly mastered these two skills. However, this does not mean that Finn has become a great swordsman. A great swordsman needs to reach perfection in all aspects of swordsmanship, including various sword moves and sword skills. Only in this way can he be a real great swordsman. Koshiro was surprised by Finn's amazing physical strength. Every time Finn showed his skills, he showed them all without reservation, which made Koshiro gradually let down his guard. Especially when he learned that Finn was only 18 years old and had learned it by himself, he was even more shocked and soon became friends with Finn. However, Finn vaguely felt that he could develop a new move suitable for himself. Therefore, he said goodbye to Koshiro and chose to practice alone in the nearby mountains. Although Isshin Dojo is also an option, Finn is still a little embarrassed to eat and drink for free for a long time. After all, he is not so thick-skinned. Time passed quickly, and nearly a year passed. Finn finally succeeded in ingeniously integrating the principle of slashing into his own moves and created a unique long-range attack form. Yes, it is indeed a form. Finn named it Shenwushin, second style, gun god. This name is not obtained by chance, because in this form, Finn can gather the air that forms the flame cloud to his right arm, and through the entanglement of the armed color, make the whole arm like a gun barrel. Gun God showed three unique attack methods. First, imitated the finger gun technique of the Navy 6 styles, released the armed color, and the fingers were like machine guns. To pay tribute to the finger gun, Finn directly named it finger gun. Secondly, by gathering strength through the fingers, the arm suddenly thrusts out like a spear, creating a slashing effect, with more concentrated strength and power, named by Finn, air stab. Finally, Finn can also launch an attack through his fist, making the attack spread in the air like sound waves, just like a cannon, forming a wide coverage strike, named Cannon Fist. At this time, the control of his own strength has reached a new height, and the combat power has also made a breakthrough. Character, Julent D. Finn, age, 19 years old, qualification, LV5 proud of the past and the present, 1000000, transformation energy, 73,000. Skills, life return, observation haki, armament haki, divine body Ryusen, divine body, gun god, combat power, general level. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the continuous breakthrough of strength, Finn's established goal has obviously been achieved. As a general-level fighter, his strength has exceeded 50,000 pounds, enough to easily lift a small warship. So Finn made a decision and was about to continue on the road of asking for the way. However, Finn found some disappointing phenomena. Originally thought that in this world of high martial arts, there would be many civilian strongmen, hermits and masters, and there would be circles in this regard. He initially planned to visit Shimotsuki Koshiro and connect the dots to find all the way. However, he soon found that this expectation was a bit too idealistic, because he found that there was no so-called circle, no so-called martial arts to make friends and mutual appreciation. After careful thinking, Finn gradually realized that the martial arts in this world are not like the skills in novels, with various theories and insights for communication. Here, to become a strong man, you need to go through thousands of tempers, boring training day after day, and rely on battle to awaken the body's combat consciousness or master the unique power of the devil fruit. Those who have it, and those who don't have it. There is no need to communicate at all. Moreover, as a high-end power, domineering is a rare existence, with high confidentiality and almost zero spread. In the East China Sea, only those big forces with a long history can have relevant inheritance, and the inheritance within the family is very cautious, and it is completely confidential to the outside world, because this is the power that can subvert their rule. And in the East China Sea, learning martial arts is not as popular as Finn thought, especially in the upper class. It is not popular, although the strong will still be greatly respected. After all, this is a hard job, and it requires too much hardship. Even if you have achieved something, it will not play a big role in the upper class. Don't you rely on force to suppress others, and others will teach you how to be a man in a minute. So the elites of the upper class have no reason to do this thankless task. Therefore, in the upper class, learning martial arts is more regarded as a way to strengthen the body. Moreover, any increase in strength is not completed overnight, and it requires long-term training. And not everyone can necessarily achieve results after making efforts. Only a very small number of people are born with extraordinary talents and can make significant progress after long-term practice, so martial arts are even less popular in the upper class. The upper class usually learns some cultural knowledge such as science, humanities, and finance in order to have a stable life in the future. And the mastery of these knowledge requires gradual and continuous learning, unlike martial arts, which only has limited training methods and is all hard work. Therefore, most of the people who practice martial arts are people at the bottom of society, who want to become strong and gain a good social status through hard practice. There are many boxing and sword gyms in various places, which can teach some basic training and practical skills, which fully meet the needs of the lower class to enter the door of practice. Especially in this era of great pirates, the ocean is vast and full of risks, and the Chamber of Commerce often needs to have enough force for protection. Therefore, people who have achieved success in martial arts can also do well. Not only can they get a good salary, but also improve their social status. So people at the bottom are more keen on martial arts. Finn guessed that in addition to the Great Line and the New World, the Four Seas should also maintain a kind of peace like the East China Sea. Although there is inevitably a dark side in society, the superficial order exists, which is also the basis of the rule of each country. After all, slightly larger countries have their own armed forces to maintain national stability. The Navy is responsible for suppressing pirates on the sea or pirate groups that pose a threat to member countries. It is also because of such a big environment that people have the motivation to produce wealth. If it can be easily plundered, it will be difficult for anyone to be willing to engage in production work. The world will also become a barbaric society that relies on force to rob. In this relatively stable social structure, people can safely invest in production and create wealth without worrying too much about external threats. There is more peace between major powers, because it is extremely expensive to fight or not, and although the world government does not interfere in the internal affairs of the member countries on the surface, it will coordinate, because the stability of the world is conducive to the world government to collect satisfactory heavenly gold. Therefore, there is no basis for the generation of strong military force in the Four Seas, because heroes are not allowed to violate the ban with force. Even if a person has achieved a higher level of military force through martial arts in such an environment, then what? As long as you use force to plunder, you will soon be identified as a pirate and be wanted by the navy of the world, and then you will have to live a life of hiding and trouble, living in fear and uncertainty. This concept has been deeply rooted in people's minds through 800 years of propaganda. What ordinary people desire is a stable life. People want to be trapped in a precarious situation unless they have no other choice. Strong military force may win all, but it will not make people afraid. Of course, some people who have strong military force but are unwilling to their current status will choose to take risks and become pirates, living a life of blood on the tip of a knife. Although they can enjoy unearned wealth, they will be on the Navy's blacklist. Unless they can occupy territory in the New World and rely on the dangers of the new century sea to confront the Navy, it is almost impossible to survive for a long time. Therefore, the New World has become a gathering place for the strong in the entire pirate world, and it is also the place with the most intense competition. The pirate groups that can occupy territory all have powerful combat power. The four emperors are the best among them, representing unparalleled power and strong strength. Their existence makes the New World the focus of competition among pirates, and it is also a place of challenge that many adventurers dream of. In this area full of risks and opportunities, only pirate groups with sufficient strength can gain a foothold in the fierce competition. And to fight the four emperors has become the ultimate goal of many pirate groups. This competition is not only a contest of strength, but also a struggle for power and glory. After thinking this through, Finn said goodbye to Koshiro and chose to leave. Since the plan to visit the strong to communicate has failed, Finn decided to start from the arena to see if he can make himself go further through actual combat. In half a year, Finn traveled to large arenas in various countries in the East China Sea, met countless opponents, and won countless victories, all from martial arts masters from various countries. However, the facts proved that Finn's conjecture was correct. There was no environment in the four seas to produce strong people. He only used 30% of his strength to crush all the way. Such performance made Finn famous. His young face formed a sharp contrast with his extraordinary strength, which attracted the attention and admiration of countless people. Many people lamented that he was the reincarnation of the martial saint. Slowly, the name of the martial saint Finn of the East China Sea spread like wildfire and was often seen on the front pages of various newspapers. Finn's reputation spread quickly in the martial arts circle of Donghai. Many strong men who came to challenge him were defeated by Finn's fists, which made people see that there is no false reputation under the reputation. Finn is like a big star. He has a resounding reputation in Donghai. Every battle will attract people from all over the world to watch. In the past 6 months, Finn has not only made his mark in major arenas, but also made many friends. Thanks to his own style of doing things, all the warriors who have been defeated by him can feel enough respect. He never relies on his talent and looks down on his opponents. He always gives people a feeling of spring breeze. Because his family knows his own affairs, he is completely suppressed by level, and he has this unparalleled qualification. And those who fight with him are completely driven by their own will. Under the condition that the results of hard work are unknown, they have achieved achievements year after year and day after day. He admires them very much. Moreover, Finn's purpose is not to defeat his opponent to win the joy, but to see whether he can provide new inspiration for himself. He thought that these people might not be as strong as himself, but everyone had their own unique insights, which was worth learning from and respecting. In half a year, Finn had a clearer understanding of the current situation in the East China Sea and understood why the East China Sea was called the weakest sea. This was not because there was a lack of powerful warriors, but because this sea lacked the soil for cultivating pirates. Most civilians lived a relatively stable life, the social order of various countries was relatively stable, and the existence of the aristocracy did not have the ugly image of wanton exploitation of civilians in the comics. Compared with other seas, the nobles in the East China Sea have richer knowledge and insights, and they know that they cannot fish in a dry pond. These nobles understand the importance of family inheritance and that social stability is beneficial to everyone. Therefore, they do not treat civilians cruelly like other seas, but work with them to build a relatively harmonious society. In this environment, pirates are not a dream that people pursue, because going out to sea to become pirates is not necessary. Force is not the only glory here, but more people pursue knowledge, culture and family honor. Finn is both pleased and emotional about this phenomenon. Fortunately, this world is not as sinister and dangerous as he initially imagined, but he regrets that in this environment, he cannot get more opportunities for growth. In the past 6 months, Finn has achieved outstanding results in his competitive career in the East China Sea, with a slight increase in strength, a significant increase in popularity, and a considerable amount of Bailey. He decided to bravely face new challenges, embark on a journey to the Grand Line, and explore the legendary pirate tomb and the paradise of the strong. With curiosity about the Grand Line, he is eager to find out what is hidden in this sea area. Such a secret is enough to make countless pirates so crazy that they are even willing to die for it. Finn meets Luffy, one of his few friends, and takes this opportunity to board his ship and embark on a journey to the Grand Line. According to the recent Navy bounty list, Luffy successfully defeated Monka not long ago, showing quite outstanding strength, and was directly rewarded 30 million Baileys by the Navy. Obviously, the Navy has given full respect to this supernova who showed two-color domineering in the East China Sea. After some calculations, Finn guessed that Luffy's current location should be near Usopp's hometown, Zilluoba village. So he decided to go to the sea restaurant and wait, and he firmly believed that Luffy, a foodie, should look for a chef like in the original book. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The smell of fireworks in the world is the most soothing to the hearts of ordinary people. Due to the cognition of a time traveler, Finn has always lacked a sense of security in this world. He has always longed for powerful military force to protect himself. He has been practicing hard and becoming stronger, and his heart is very restless. However, after a year of traveling, Finn's inner uneasiness has long disappeared, leaving behind a peaceful state. He feels that his current state of mind is very consistent with the practice of observation and hearing color, so he decided to practice observation and hearing color here while waiting for Luffy's arrival. On the sea near the restaurant, Finn chose a quiet place, closed his eyes, emptied his mind, and felt the surroundings with his heart. He firmly believes in observation and hearing color, the so-called sixth sense, and he hopes to improve his observation and hearing color ability through such long-term training. Every day when Finn wakes up from the room in the sea restaurant, he enjoys a luxurious breakfast, and then randomly finds a place on the nearby sea to start a day of practice, closes his eyes and enters into meditation, uses observation and hearing color instead of eyes, and concentrates on feeling the rhythm of everything around him, whether it is rain, snow, wind or frost. Finn insists on doing so every day. Gradually, he seemed to forget the hustle and bustle of the world and roamed between heaven and earth. He seemed to have forgotten the original intention of practicing the color of seeing and hearing, and just simply enjoyed it all. Unconsciously, he entered a state of transcendence from time to time, as if his whole body and mind were in nature, and the whole person had been integrated into nature. For 3 months, he listened to the sounds of all things every day like a madman, enjoying the peace away from the hustle and bustle. Of course, Finn's mysterious behavior caused widespread discussion in the sea restaurant. As a celebrity in the arena and the East China Sea, he already has the name of a martial saint, and this strange and detached behavior has aroused people's curiosity. However, in response to these curious inquiries, Finn just smiled and responded, "Listen to the sea." This detached attitude has become a promotional card for the sea restaurant, attracting a large number of people who come here to admire it. Of course, there are also some people who want to challenge Finn, but when they see Finn standing on the sea, this behavior beyond common sense, they all choose to give up, obviously realizing that Finn's strength is not something they can match. Finn always maintains a very high level of style, as if he has transcended the trivialities of the world. Some people even thought this scene was very rare, and quietly painted this extraordinary scene, naming it Martial Saint Enlightenment Picture, which immediately aroused the strong interest of some collectors, and they expressed their willingness to buy it at a high price. This unknown painter became famous because of this. As a result, the restaurant has become a popular place for people to check in, and there is an endless stream of people who want to see the style of the Martial Saint. Finn's existence has made this restaurant famous. Of course, as Finn's reputation grows, it has undoubtedly attracted the attention of the Navy. Especially for an extremely special person like him, with strength far beyond his age, it even caused a heated discussion among the senior officials of the Navy headquarters. In the headquarters meeting, the 3 admirals and several vice-admirals who were not on a mission looked at the photos of Finn listening attentively to the sea in Zhangguo's hand, and their expressions became solemn. This young man can stand on the sea with flames surrounding him, and no ordinary person can have any of them. Walking on the sea requires superb physical skills, and the flame cloud is either the ability of the awakened animal fruit or a very powerful physical skill. Neither of them seems simple, and it is a sign of a strong man. However, everyone tends to believe that it is the ability of the awakened fruit, because if it is really a physical skill, no one present can do more than one hand. And to maintain this state for a long time, everyone can't help but look at Mr. Garp, because only he can do it. But Garp is obviously the most relaxed, grabbing a handful of donuts from time to time and chewing them, which is extremely conspicuous among the crowd. Sengoku obviously has no idea. Looking at Garp, he ate all his donuts, and said loudly, "Garp, you bastard, you ate all mine again. Tell me how our navy should treat such a person." Garp responded with a cynical smile, "Ha ha ha, Sengoku, don't be stingy. I know something about Brother Finn." This remark aroused the interest of everyone present. Brother Finn, this little guy is very talented. He was very powerful 2 years ago. He was probably only 17 years old at that time, but he was able to fight back against me. Of course, I didn't use my full strength. From the current photos, he is obviously even stronger. From the feedback information analysis, he is obviously practicing observation hockey, and it seems that he is listening to the voice of all things. I just don't know if he succeeded. As for the armament hockey, it is even more powerful. 2 years ago, he had already mastered the advanced application, that is, Ryasakura. Another thing, for his flame cloud, I am more inclined to think that it is physical skills, ahaha. After Garp finished speaking, he smiled and looked at the people around him who were confused. It's incredible, then this Finn is only 19 years old now. According to Vice Admiral Garp's analysis, he is probably at the level of a general now. Vice Admiral Ghost Spider said in surprise. As a physical skills expert, he has mastered the advanced application of life return. He also has some understanding of Finn's current state, but he also understands that it is very difficult, at least his strength is not enough to support himself to maintain this form for a long time. Although everyone finds it unbelievable, they know Ghost Spider very well, and obviously don't think he is talking nonsense, so they can only accept this fact. Then how should we treat such a person? Zhang Guo was also confused, because Finn's background was blank and his own strength was extremely strong, which made him feel difficult to control. Ha ha ha, we are the Navy, there are many strong people on the sea, can't we accommodate one more person? Besides, he is not a pirate. What is there to worry about? Garp laughed, his calm attitude made everyone sober up and re-examine the issue. They don't need to pay too much attention to the strong who are not pirates, they just need to give due respect. Finn is not an enemy, and there is no need to make him an enemy. After all, such consumption is not worth it for the Navy. Of course, there is no other effective way. Regarding recruitment, everyone seems to tacitly avoid talking about it. They understand that a person with strong strength but unknown origin is not suitable to join the Navy, especially when the headquarters has many secrets. Therefore, for this discussion with Finn, their conclusion is to live in peace and give the strong due respect. And Finn obviously didn't know that he had already let it has attracted the attention of so many bigwigs. He still listened attentively to the sounds of nature, and gradually seemed to be able to hear more distant sounds and perceive deeper sounds in the depths of the sea. Unconsciously, he seemed to be able to perceive the joy and communication of all things in the ocean. This feeling fascinated Finn more and more, and he listened more attentively, the sound of waves hitting the reefs, the joyful sound of fish swimming, and the mysterious conversations in the depths of the sea intertwined together, sketching a mysterious and magnificent picture in his heart. Moreover, other sounds kept pouring in, more and more, as if nature was conveying some information to him. Suddenly, when Finn woke up, he understood that this was listening to the voice of all things. On the Golden Mary, Luffy and his companions spent a few days drifting. However, these guys who had no experience in long-distance sailing soon began to feel the hardships of the sea. At this time, there were only 3 people on the ship, Usopp, Zoro, and Luffy. Fate seemed to have destined them to meet and get together again. Although the process was somewhat different from what Finn knew, Zoro joined because Luffy sent Kobe to the naval base and was very disappointed with the Navy after hearing about Monka's evil deeds on the island. In the restaurant, he encountered Bellamur's bullying. Luffy was brave and directly output. As a result, he ran into Monka who was returning from a patrol, and a powerful conflict occurred. The result is self-evident. Luffy directly broke through the copy. The result was that he was rewarded earlier. And when he was eating at the restaurant on the island, he met Zoro. He had heard Kobe talk about the pirate hunter Zoro before. After seeing the real person, Luffy was particularly satisfied with Zoro, and then he was pestered by Luffy and insisted on being dragged to become a pirate. Zoro didn't want to, but Luffy kept pestering him, which made Zoro very angry and wanted to chop Luffy. But looking at Luffy's heartless look, he thought it was a kid from some family who ran out to play pirate house games privately. As a result, he wanted Luffy to give up, and proposed that the captain of the future great swordsman should not be weaker than him. As a result, in a fist and sword contest, Luffy directly crushed him, and opened both the armed color and the observation color. Without further ado, Zoro was defeated by Luffy. Zoro was stunned. This was a result he had never expected, and he had strong doubts about his own strength. There was no way, so Zoro boarded Luffy's pirate ship. As for Usopp, the trend was the same. Luffy recognized Usopp's courage and had a responsibility to face CLO for his village. And with the relationship with Usopp's father Jesus, Luffy also tricked Usopp onto the pirate ship. Of course, Usopp showed his value. Now he is the navigator, shipwright, helmsman, part-time artist and sniper of the pirate ship. He is an all-round talent. He is worthy of being the god Usopp, and his hands-on ability is really strong. On this day, the three friends who were sailing on the sea had a fierce quarrel about the next partner. They wanted a musician, a chef, and a navigator. After arguing for a long time, there was no conclusion. Coincidentally, Usopp gave a piece of news that was quite popular recently, about the Marshal St. Finfa in the sea restaurant. Luffy was very happy to hear that it was Finn, and he was eager to meet him. Since Finn left, he has been practicing hard, eager to regain his place and make Finn look at him with new eyes. He immediately decided to go to the sea restaurant to meet Finn and see if he could recruit a chef. In this way, the Golden Mary set sail for the sea restaurant.